Mercedes-Benz recently updated its A-Class range, and now it's applied those same changes to this, the CLA.
That's right, Steve, but are these changes for this compact four-door sedan for the better?
Well, Danny, we just called it a four-door sedan, but technically Mercedes likes to refer to this car, the CLA and the CLS, as four-door coupes, which personally I think is just a lot of marketing speak. But it does speak to the fact that this is a very design-focused car. I mean, what do you make of it? What's your take on it?
Yeah, from the outside, Steve, I think this is a really beautiful-looking car. It's designed quite nicely, and it says Mercedes all over it.
Yeah, I'm a little unconvinced by it. I've never been a huge fan of the CLS, and I think putting it on the CLA, it just looks a bit floppy at the back, which is a bit of a weird thing to say, but it just doesn't have a sort of on-road presence and stance that I really like. But the other issue, the bigger issue really, is the practical one, because it's got that swoopy roofline that eats into the rear space.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's roomy enough at the front, but the back is pretty hard to sort of move around. I tried to put a child seat, that was interesting, but it is pretty cramped, and not only that, if you look at the mirrors, there's not much, you can't even see properly.
Yeah, I mean, compared to, the A-Class hatch, which it's based on, that flatter roof line gives you a bit more room back there to actually pop people in occasionally. It's not a limo by any stretch, but it just seems like it's an awful lot of compromise for what is a small car.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's some nice touches in here. I like these circular air vents. They look pretty cool. The design is nice. It is a bit plasticky, some bits. The seats, obviously, they're not real leather. Artico, isn't it?
Yes, artificial cow, Mercedes likes to call it.
Interesting.
But look, that's only part of it. Obviously, a lot of the changes I've made for this year's model is about making it nicer to drive. So how about we swap over, I'll give you a turn.
Sounds like a good idea. So Steve, this is my first time driving a Mercedes, so I had mixed expectations. I wasn't sure, how it would go behind the wheel. Initially, the steering felt a little bit light. You do feel every niggle on the road with this car. It's not the smoothest car I've driven. It's not bad, but I guess in terms of performance, it's not really a racing car, so to speak.
No. Yeah, look, this is definitely the entry-level model in the range, and ultimately it is a small car. It sort of has. It's a funny thing because it looks from the outside, it looks like a premium compact sedan. But what you're really driving is a hatchback. It's just with a different top on it. So yeah, it's not exactly the world's greatest performance. It's not a rocket ship, but it does, I think, give you a reasonable feeling of luxury from behind the wheel.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think you've got the luxury of driving it in various modes. It does default to comfort.
Yeah.
But sports mode is fairly good, and the manual with the paddle shifts is all right too. I think sports mode is probably the best. I don't know in terms of fuel economy whether that changes it, but having that option is probably good, because comfort mode is probably what it is, comfort.
Yeah. The one thing I will say about this latest update, the latest iteration, has made it much nicer to drive. In terms of the transmission seems much better tuned for this car. It's a lot smoother. I think the old model, the shifts are a lot sharper. It was a bit clunky at low speeds, which you get with some of these dual clutch transmissions. So I think that is a big step forward.
Yeah, I thought the transmission was quite seamless. So, there's a bit of a lag off the mark when you start, but once you get going, it's fine.
Yeah. But the real question about this car, ultimately, is the price. I mean, it starts at around $52,000. Now, we're sitting here, while, there is some artificial leather, which, feels okay, and there's some, different materials here. But, it's hard to escape the fact you've got manual adjusting seats. I think it's the first Mercedes I've ever driven without power seats. You get digital radio, you get a few niceties, but at the end of the day, there isn't, I'm not sure the value is in this car. $52,000 is a lot of money for a car. You can buy a lot of car for less money.
Yeah, look, I guess it could be debatable if you're buying or wanting to pay for a brand, and maybe that's what Mercedes is looking at, because a lot of people might think 52,000 Mercedes, that's all right.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one. I think for me, you know, in terms of value for money, it's all right.
Yeah.
You probably could think it's better. Where I think it does salvage itself is it's got some pretty nifty safety features. You know, 9 airbags, forward collision alert, blind spot monitoring. Mind you, you'd want it because these side mirrors are a tad small. But you know, I think, you know, for a corporate female, I could see this car being well suited to them.
Yeah, look, it's definitely got appeal. You know, in its, I guess, like you say, its badge and its style gives it a unique appeal. But yeah, for me, I'd rather spend my pennies elsewhere.
Okay.